100%. It's always special when you go into New York and go into the Garden. So, yeah, I think a fight like that would do very well there.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hard fight. Honestly, it's gonna be. I saw his fight against Bilal. He's good, man. He's good. When he beginning fighting in UFC, he had problem with the wrestling, but now he's improved because I see he training a lot with the wrestlers, with the grapplers, and that's why he's a champion right now, and he's good everywhere. But we will see who is the best fighter in the world.
Yeah,
Very soon, very soon.
Dana White has just announced a major update on the fight between Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena. However, Ilia Topuria suggested Jack to focus on body shots, especially straight ones, to interrupt takedown attempts. He believes targeting the body can neutralize a wrestler's intentions and make it harder for them to shoot. He also praised Jack Della Maddalena's striking skills, saying he likes the way Jack fights and handles himself on the feet.
Do you have any advice for Jack, who might be coming up against Islam Makhachev next?
The advice, like, he has to work the straight body shots, because that takes away the intentions of the takedown. If he works with the straight body shots, he's gonna stop his intentions of the takedowns. And he's doing a great job in the striking. I like how he fights.
Meanwhile, Islam Makhachev acknowledged the test ahead, mentioned how things have changed since earlier performances, noted sharp progress in certain areas, kept his focus on proving who stands at the very top, and hinted that the answer is coming fast, with confidence intact and full belief in the work that's already been put in.
I know you talked a little bit about Jack. What do you think he's going to be a hard fight for you? I know he said he wants to get one back for Alexander Volkanovski here.
Yeah, it's gonna be a hard fight. Honestly, it's gonna be. I saw his fight against Bilal. He's good, man. He's good. When he beginning fighting in UFC, he had problem with the wrestling, but now he's improved because I see he training a lot with the wrestlers, with the grapplers, and that's why he's a champion right now, and he's good everywhere. But we will see who is the best fighter in the world.
Yeah,
very soon.
Yeah.
And it's going very quick.
However, Dana White acknowledged the scale of a potential Islam versus JDM fight, pointing to Madison Square Garden as an ideal setting. He spoke about the venue's historic atmosphere and how a bout of that magnitude would thrive there, suggesting it would be a perfect fit for such a marquee clash.
Islam, he said that he would love to fight JDM, for that 170 title. His hope is to fight at Madison Square Garden. Is that the venue that you could see hosting a fight of that caliber?
100%. It's always special when you go into New York and go into the Garden. So, yeah, I think a fight like that would do very well there.
Moreover, Javier Mendez leaned toward Jack Della Maddalena as the trickier opponent, citing his size, diverse striking, and overall well-rounded game. While Topuria's boxing stood out, JDM offered more layers to solve defensively, strategically, and with greater physical intensity, making preparation more complex and requiring adjustments across all areas of combat.
JDM is a trickier puzzle to figure out than a potential fight with an Ilia Topuria. It's interesting because both of those guys, both JDM and Ilia Topuria, they both possess great boxing, right? But they're both kind of tricky puzzles in their own right. Who do you feel like is the trickier puzzle to figure out, JDM or Ilia Topuria?
For me, JDM. JDM is the tougher one because of number one, the size. Number two, he's good everywhere. If it was just boxing, then we don't have to worry as much because JDM's boxing is not as good as Topuria, but overall his kicking, his kneeing, his overall game is very good.
On the other hand, Jack Della Maddalena spoke about Islam Makhachev's size at welterweight, saying he seemed big enough, but might return to lightweight after one fight. He sounded confident, hinting that Islam's striking could be exposed and that a lack of stance switching would make him easier to read. JDM believed his own striking could find openings, suggesting that if the fight happens, he sees a clear path to taking Islam out.
I think he just seems like a pretty big guy.
Yeah.
I think he'll be all right.
Yeah. You think he'll stick around at 170, or do you think it's just...
I think he'll be one fight, and then he'll probably have to go back down.
Because of how it'll go?
Yeah.
How do you see it playing out?
I think I can take him out. I think Bilal really just walks, changes stances a lot, walks forward. But I think if I can have someone that just stays in the same stance, and I don't think, but Islam's a very good striker. I think I could land a lot of shots, and I think I could take him out.
Wow.
If I get taken down, I believe I can get back to my feet.
Furthermore, Renato Moicano spoke about size changes, strength development, and the uncertainty that comes with shifting divisions. He kept things balanced when weighing how both fighters might match up.
So Islam versus JDM.
I think they probably should be even, you know, because even though Islam is a good grappler, he's big for 155. He's moving to 170. We never know, you know. I think he needs to take some time to work on to gain weight, to gain power, you know, to gain strength. So that's why the odds are even, and I think they should be even.
Additionally, Renato Moicano reflected on the long game, suggesting that chasing greatness should come with a plan. He mentioned the risk of staying too long, brought up legends whose legacies faded after late career losses, and pointed to the smart path of chasing a second belt before walking away. He viewed Islam's move as the right step. Take the challenge, win, then consider legacy. If things align, he sees a final clash with Topuria as the perfect closing chapter.
Since you've been in there and fought him, how much success do you think he's going to have at welterweight?
I think he's going to have success against JDM. I'm not so sure, but I think he did the right thing, you know, move up, try to get 2 belts, and then stop, like Khabib did, you know. If you keep fighting enough, you're going to lose. We saw that with Anderson Silva. I don't know, maybe some people here are younger than me, and they didn't even see the Spider fighting. But when Anderson Silva was fighting, was like legendary. Everybody, it was undisputed, the best fighter of all times, and then he lost, and then everybody forget about him. So if you want to keep your legacy, you should fight, and then try to fight for another belt, and then retire. Do like Khabib, because I remember Jose Aldo, I remember so much fighters that they lost on the end of their careers, and then kind of the legacy were ruined. So I think Makhachev is doing what he was supposed to do. I think he beat GDM, and then if Topuria wins, he get back and fight Topuria, and I think that's a good career.
However, Joaquin Buckley spoke passionately about Kamaru Usman deserving the next title shot. He emphasized Usman's proven dominance, his comeback performance, and the value of his name. Buckley felt it would be a waste for Usman to fight lower-ranked contenders, especially after already giving others opportunities. He drew a parallel between Usman's situation and his own ambitions, stressing that if someone was once at the top, they should be given the chance to reclaim their spot without unnecessary detours.
Kamaru wants his title shot. He just beat a very dangerous guy like you. But if the UFC is not a body man,
I got you. Usman should be next, man. You got the name. He showed what he's capable of doing. I was knocking them all out, and he came back and showed why he's a dominant champion and should fight for that title next. He got a big enough name. It'd be a waste for him to try to fight another person and only just give them an opportunity. He already gave the opportunity to me. I it up. Let that man go get his belt back. No, for real. That's my truth. Because my thing is, if I would have beat Usman, it's the same thing. Let me go get my belt, right? And that should be the same energy with my man right there.
Facts. Additionally, Joaquin Buckley questioned if Jack Della Maddalena would make it to a potential fight with Islam Makhachev after a tough 5-round battle. He pointed out how JDM made his last opponent look surprisingly good and hinted at the UFC possibly setting up an interim title due to delays in the fight.
You know, you talk to your brother Islam, you know what I'm saying? He trying to make them big moves up to 170. They trying to make that fight happen with him and JDM, but JDM just went through a whole 5-round war. I don't think my man gonna make it to that fight. No, for real. He made Bilal look like he really had Canelo hands. That's crazy. I can definitely see the UFC put in a place where either interim belt.
Furthermore, Jack Della Maddalena acknowledged the difficulty ahead, recognizing the level of his next opponent. He drew comparisons, pointed out habits and stance and movement, and saw clear differences to prepare for. Despite the challenge, he spoke with belief and focus, committed to building the right plan.
Islam Makhachev has come up at welterweight and has confirmed that he's your next challenger. How do you prepare for that?
I think Islam Makhachev is a better version to Bilal. His striking on the feet is easier than Bilal. He's more just he'll stay in one stance, his traditional style. He's the pound for pound number one, so make a solid game plan and then just start working at it. It's a tough fight, but I truly believe I can beat Makhachev.
At last, Jack Della Maddalena spoke on Islam Makhachev's move up, acknowledged his right to challenge, and viewed his own recent win as the right setup for something bigger. He saw the progression as part of a larger climb, not the peak. He recognized the stakes, brushed off the talk, and made it clear if Islam wants it, he knows where to find him and better come ready.
It does seem like Islam's on Twitter already saying it's time to be double champion and all the rest of it, so it seems like you are the fight he wants. Do you think that's the one that makes the most sense?
I think that a lot of good welterweights, obviously I think Islam's, what he's done is probably given him, I think he deserves a shot if he wants to step up, but I guess that's not my call. It's up to the UFC.
This is a great foundation for a fight like that.
Yeah, Islam's I think it's a good practice match for Islam.
And I guess just last thing, what would it kind of say about you if you can go in the 2-fight span from not being the champion to beating Bilal, who I think is, you know, up there in pound for pound, to beating the number one pound for pound fighter in the world? It's
a pretty good, a good run, you know, but it's just the beginning. I think beating Islam would be this is just the beginning.
And Islam's already tweeted at you a few times, and like the most recent one, he says, "You're not Volk. I'll show you there at different levels. Keep my belt clean." Do you have any response to Islam?
No, come get it. Come get it.
On the other hand, Robert Whittaker shared his thoughts on Islam Makhachev moving to welterweight, noting that the lightweight cut has been draining. He believes Makhachev's power and physicality could translate well at 170, possibly making him more dangerous. Comparing it to Ilia Toporia's rise, Whittaker called it a mystery fans can't wait to see unfold.
Maybe. It's, I guess that's the $1 million question. That's the question everybody's asking. And that's kind of the question, it's the same situation as Topuria as well. How good is Topuria? But what's he going to look like up weight division? Same with Islam. By all reports, though, the weight cut was really hard for him, like really, really hard. He's super strong for that weight division, which, you know, must translate well to moving up, making it a little bit easy cut. Maybe he gets a little bigger. It's I'm very. That's the $1 million question. Everybody's asking the same thing.
Additionally, Robert Whittaker acknowledged that predicting Islam Makhachev's performance at welterweight is tricky, as moving up always brings uncertainty. He explained that changes in weight can shift both physical and tactical dynamics, making transitions hard to evaluate. Still, Whittaker showed strong belief in Makhachev, saying he can do what Bilal Muhammad does, but far better.
Definitely, but like I said, it is hard to try to get like an accurate gauge on what it's going to look like, not knowing how Islam is going to look when he moves up. Okay, it's always the question everybody asks when anybody is moving up a weight division or down a weight division. Okay, there's so many unknowns involved. But saying that, I think that Islam can do everything that Bilal does, but way better. Okay, way better.
At last, Whittaker spoke about Jack Della Maddalena's latest showing, noting that while Jack was the clear winner, the bout remained tightly contested. He said a fight between Jack and Islam Makhachev would be a tough test for both men. Still, Whittaker praised Jack's drive, focus, and a special X factor that sets him apart. Just as Jack found a way past Bilal Muhammad and Gilbert Burns, Whittaker believes he has the tools and mindset to meet another major challenge head on.
And the fight, I thought Jack handedly had the fight, but it was a fight. Okay, so I don't think it'll be an easy fight for Jack, but I believe in Jack. I think he's got that X factor. He's got that hunger there. You know, he's got the ticker, and you know, just like with Bilal, just like with Burns before, I think he can do the impossible.
Moreover, Daniel Cormier shared that if Islam Makhachev manages to win the welterweight belt, it would elevate his legacy to an even greater level, though Cormier already ranks Islam among the sport's elite. Claiming gold in a second division would further solidify his place in MMA history. However, a bout with Bilal Muhammad isn't likely, as both men have made it clear they won't face each other out of deep mutual respect and friendship.
Islam, if he is able to do this, would further cement himself as one of the greatest fighters of all time. He really would. He would cement himself as one of the greatest of all time. I think he's already one of the greatest of all time. But by going up to 170, one of the things that he would not do was fight Bilal Muhammad. And they were very clear about him and Bilal Muhammad about not wanting to fight each other.
At last, Cormier also pointed out that Islam Makhachev's impact at welterweight is being noticed even before he officially moves up. He mentioned how fighters in the division are already reacting, singling out Joaquin Buckley, who stirred controversy by calling out Islam for backing a close associate. With Makhachev eyeing a second title, the response from welterweight contenders shows that his potential entry is already generating buzz and unease across the division.
But then Joaquin Buckley writes, crazy that you were praying for your so-called brother's downfall. That was Joaquin Buckley. So not only does Islam have an opportunity to become a world champion, he's already got guys up at 170 taking notice.
Furthermore, Henry Cejudo predicted that Islam Makhachev would beat Jack Della Maddalena and become a two-division UFC champion, calling it the logical next chapter in his legacy. On the other hand, Kamaru Usman backed Jack, praising his calm mindset and saying he has the skills to keep his welterweight crown. Both fighters agreed the showdown is expected to happen in October in Abu Dhabi, which temporarily puts any potential clash between Islam and Ilia Topuria on the back burner.
I think Islam Makhachev is going to beat him. I think he's going to become the 11th double champ in UFC history.
Islam tweeted, keep it shiny, keep it nice for me. JDM, I mean, it was kind of like the perfect comeback. He was just like, yeah, come get it.
Keep my belt clean. Okay, so the talking has begun, dude. That fight is set. That fight's going to take place in October, Abu Dhabi. I think we all know that. We're no longer going to get Ilia versus Islam Makhachev just now.
However, Ali Abdelaziz said Islam Makhachev will fight for the welterweight title this year, not an interim one. He confirmed Jack Della Maddalena is the champion, but if Jack can't compete, someone else will face Islam for the belt. Abdelaziz said the UFC, including Dana White and Hunter Campbell, approved the plan. A key condition for Islam's move up was that if Jack got injured, the title would be vacated. While he hopes Jack stays healthy, Abdelaziz made it clear the UFC will go ahead with a title fight no matter what.
When will it happen, Islam and Jack?
Islam fighting for the title this year. The non-interim title, a title. Jack Maddalena is the champion, but if Jack is not available, it will be someone else fighting Islam for the title. That's what the UFC told me, that's what Dana told me, that's what Hunters, everybody said that, and that was one of the stipulations. If Islam go up, Jack get injured, and I hope he's healthy, and he seemed like he's healthy, this title will be vacated, and Islam will fight for welterweight.
Meanwhile, Stephen Thompson said Islam Makhachev could struggle at welterweight as many fighters cut from over 205 pounds, making size and strength key factors. He noted Jack Della Maddalena may have a slight height edge, but the real challenge is the division's physicality. Thompson praised Islam's grappling, but reminded that Jack has already faced top wrestlers like Bilal Muhammad.
I don't know, man. I mean, when you're going up to the welterweight division, those are some big boys. And I know Islam Makhachev walks around fairly heavy, but a lot of these 170s, they walk around real heavy. I'm talking about, over 205, 210 to the 215. Some of the guys that I have faced would walk around at that weight. I think like the height, I think they might be the same height. I think JD might be a little taller, but when it comes to those guys and their strength, Islam, I think, is going to have a tough time. Now, do I think he could get it done? Yes. I think he's that good of a grappler. But like I said, JDM has faced some of the best welterweight grapplers and wrestlers in the division. Bilal being one of them. I think it's going to be a tough night for him. I would like to see Islam fight Topuria. That's just me. I would love to see that fight happen. But if he comes up, we'll see what the UFC gets behind. And we all know you got to convince the UFC to make it happen. And you do that first by getting on Twitter, shouting it out, and get people talking about it. And that's what Islam did. So we'll see if that fight happens with JDM.
Furthermore, Michael Bisping praised Jack Della Maddalena, calling his win over Bilal Muhammad a major highlight in his career. He admired Jack's skills, humility, and respectful nature, saying he's a genuinely good person. Bisping also noted Jack's willingness to face tough opponents and believes a matchup with Islam Makhachev is likely next.
Tonight belonged to Jack Della Maddalena. He's an awesome human being. I've sat down with him several times and had some conversations. Nice guy, quiet guy, a man of few words, but I tell you what, That was an incredible fight tonight. And he'll take on Islam Makhachev. He doesn't care. He wants to be a part of the biggest fights possible. Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena. That's the fight that's going to happen.
Moreover, Gilbert Burns backed Islam Makhachev's move to welterweight, saying 170 pounds fits him better due to his struggles at 155. He called Makhachev the top pound-for-pound fighter, but believes a fight with Jack Della Maddalena would be closer than most expect. Burns pointed out Jack's training with Alexander Volkanovski and Craig Jones, which gives him valuable preparation. Although he hasn't fully analyzed the matchup, Burns feels it would be a highly competitive bout.
Islam's working very hard. He's been saying vocal that he wants to go up to 170. I think he's a big boy. He killed himself to make 55. I think that's the right division for Islam. He just tweeted something after the fight that he will not vacate the title, and then he vacated the title. I don't know, but probably that was in the negotiation. Yeah, I like him moving up. I proven himself. He's number 1 pound for pound right now. It's a good fight. Jack and Islam closer than people think, especially with Jack Della Maddalena doing a lot of training with Volk, with Craig Jones, those guys that kind of back the Islam on that first Volk fight. I think they're going to have a lot of info, a lot of study, a lot of answers. It's closer than people think, this fight. I really like this fight. I don't have time right now. I didn't have time to dig deep a little too much in that fight, but I think it's way closer than people think. And JDM has a clear shot on beating.
However, Luke Thomas praised Jack Della Maddalena for his striking against Belal Muhammad, saying he stood out despite Belal's solid effort. However, Thomas also noted weaknesses in Jack's game, including defensive gaps and risky takedown attempts. He warned these issues could cost him against Islam Makhachev, who rarely makes mistakes and excels in control.
The striking prowess of JDM, if he could just have enough time to get it going, would be enough. I think Muhammad somewhat overperformed relative to expectations, but in the end, JDM was better. But the defensive lapses, to me, I know we have to focus on like how good JDM is as a striker, but what could have cost him here was the incompleteness of his defense. And to me, he took a quantum leap forward today in showing how good that was. Now, again, trying to turn that defense into offense by trying to go for some of those ill-advised takedowns, especially in the 5th, and then you're getting kind of lateral dropped for it. You do that against Islam, and I think that's a huge mistake. Islam just doesn't make a lot of mistakes, right? He doesn't necessarily have, at times, always the flashiest offense. I mean, he does have very good offense. We're talking about the pound-for-pound number 1 guy in the sport. But what really defines him is that he makes very, very good decisions.
Additionally, Luke Thomas shared his excitement about Islam Makhachev possibly moving to welterweight. While he acknowledged the appeal of a Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria fight, he was more intrigued by what Islam could accomplish at 170 pounds. Thomas admitted there's uncertainty around the move, but emphasized the huge opportunity for Makhachev to win a 2nd title and solidify his legacy as a 2-division champion.
Islam up at 170 to me is exciting. I know what everyone's going to say. Oh my God, the best fight you could have made in MMA was Ilia versus Islam. I'm not denying it. I'm not in any way asking you to feel differently about what was the best fight that could be made. But here's what I am trying to tell you. Islam up at 170 could be something really special. It could fizzle too, but I'm trying to point out the positives. It could be really special. For him to become a double champ could be a very big deal.
At last, Luke Thomas said Islam Makhachev likely faces Jack Della Maddalena next, but could still fight Ilia Topuria later. Even with a close loss at welterweight, Islam could return to lightweight. Thomas praised Makhachev's risk-taking mindset and said his move to 170 offers fans something special.
Just because you're going to get, it looks like, Makhachev and JDM next, doesn't mean you actually can't get Makhachev and Ilia at some point. It could be he goes up against JDM and maybe he doesn't get his kick, but maybe he just kind of loses and you're like, oh, all right. Then you go back to 55 and you can see what's up after that. So it's not even a case that you can't get it. But my point is, Islam at 170, if he gives us 3 or maybe even 4 of those, is a treat as far as I'm concerned. Like him vying for double champ status, he's earned it. He gave Volkanovski 2 cracks. He accepted one of those on short notice, and I know it was like shorter notice for Volkanovski, but nevertheless, accepting to fight Alexander Volkanovski on very, very short notice is still risky no matter who you are. And no matter how much prep, and he gave him both of those. He did one of those fights in Volkanovski's home country. He's earned it. He's earned it. He's absolutely earned it.
That's it for today's video. So what are your thoughts on this? What do you think about JDM versus Islam? We would love to hear your thoughts on this. So share your thoughts in the comment section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. Also check out our other videos on the screen right now.